Hey, before we dive into this week's episode, if you've been enjoying the show, I'd love your support. Take just 10 seconds to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps others discover the wisdom and inspiration that I share on the Pivot to Balance podcast. Let's build a community of balance seekers together. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to share the love. Now let's dive into the episode. Hello and welcome to the Pivot to Balance podcast. I'm your host, AK, and I hope you're doing well. In a world that pulls us in a million different directions and with a billion distractions, finding balance can feel like an ambiguous quest. Join me on this podcast as I try to navigate life's twists and turns with mindfulness, purpose, and grace. In each episode, we will dive into topics like self-care, personal growth, mindset shifts by sharing practical insights, stories, and maybe even interviews. Get ready to pivot, to recalibrate, and find your balance. Follow the Pivot to Balance podcast, and I will see you on the other side. Welcome back to this week's episode. In this week's episode, I want to talk about how to take breaks without drowning in a sea of guilt. Honestly, I am not someone that loves to take breaks. I'm actually pretty bad at it. I work even on Saturday and Sunday, even though I don't have to do it, but I love working. And I've often found myself kind of feeling bad when I take breaks. It's like, I'm not being productive. I can't do this. And I kind of wanted to get out of that mindset. So I started doing research, I think towards like mid of this year is when, like, if I work on my side stuff, if I like take too much time on that and I don't take a break. And as you guys know, I drink a lot of coffee. If you don't know, I drink a lot of coffee. Like, I survive on coffee. And I also think the whole like meme culture and watching TV shows that where the characters also drink a lot of coffee, all of that has actually influenced me to drink more coffee, which is like toxic productivity. So I did some research. I've been trying a few things that I thought I could share with you. If it's helpful for you, that'd be amazing. Let me know. So first, let's get real for a moment. Our culture has this weird obsession with glorifying burnout. It's like you have to struggle to get the job done. Like, it's been promoted like that. Those toxic productivity memes like I was talking about that celebrate working 24/7, drinking a lot of coffee, and treating self-care like it's a luxury. Like, oh, a glass of wine is self-care. I mean, sure, but I don't drink, so I don't know about that. But I think there's a lot more that you can do, and we're throwing all of that out of the window today, and we're going to focus on something that's actually something you can actually implement. So first off, why do we feel so guilty about taking breaks? It's like we've internalized this belief that our worth is directly tied to our constant output. The spoiler alert for you here, it's not. Our brains and bodies are not machines. They're living, breathing systems that need rest to function optimally. And I think we forget that. We think of ourselves as this Superman or something, and we have to keep doing shit all the time. It's just not possible, guys. And I think as someone who loves being creative, I have felt personally it's just not working. It never works. In fact, research shows that taking regular breaks actually improves your cognitive function, creativity, overall productivity, emotional regulation, and physical health. So let's talk about some realistic ways to incorporate breaks into your day without feeling like you're committing a crime. Let's just get rid of that feeling. The first one is the very famous one, which I love, the Pomodoro technique. But this has your own remix to it. Okay, we're adding a remix. Instead of the traditional 25-minute work, 5-minute break cycle, experiment and find out what works best for you. Sometimes it's a 15 minutes focused work followed by a 10-minute break. So for example, if I'm working from home, I find that very difficult to work for an hour straight. It's kind of difficult for me. I will end up somehow taking 2 to 3 minutes break. But if I go to a cafe, I can work for 3 hours straight and not get distracted at all. So you just need to find that flow for yourself. I think the whole Pomodoro technique is amazing. I've tried that. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. So I always find out what my deep work hours are. And then I figure out, okay, if I'm going to work for 3 hours, if I'm in the zone, I'm going to take a 10-minute break. But then I'll keep that 10-minute break as a reminder instead of saying, oh, I'm already 3 hours in. Why can't I just do 20 more minutes? No, I'm going to take that 10-minute break. That is essential. The key here is to find your own rhythm. Hey, if you listen to this podcast, I think you will also love my newsletter, Elevator Gazette. I talk a lot about elevating your professional and your personal lives. Make sure to subscribe to my newsletter. Go to anushakhannan.com/email list, and I'm sure you will love it. Join everyone who is like-minded. And now let's get into the episode. The second one is like having a mindful break activity. And breaks don't have to be passive. And no, breaks, I don't mean scrolling on Instagram. That is not break. You're still overloading your brain with things. Like content, like swiping, I would recommend avoiding that. A couple of things I've been trying recently. And the first one is meditating. I'm not good at meditating at all. I'm really, really bad at it because I've never had the patience to sit and actually try for a long time. But I do like just keep all of my devices turned off, go sit in the corner of a room and just like stare into the oblivion. Like I just do that. And I call that meditation. I don't know if that's meditation, but if you can do meditation, try that. The second thing I do is I do like a quick stretch because I'm sitting for so long the entire day. I think it's best just to kind of stretch, and it also gives your mind a lot of blood flow. Number 3, I go for a short walk outside. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but I actually love walking. And walking like really gives me a lot of ideas when I look at other people on the streets. So a short walk is another thing. You could try breathing exercises. You could try sketching or doodling. If you have a pet, well, what else do you really need? They're fun. And I mean, you could also listen to a fun podcast episode that's going to, motivate you. But I would say content, any type of content, minimize that. Anything else will be fun. Now, the third one is a mental reframe to like break free from that guilt when you take a break. Breaks are not distraction from your work. They're actually a very important part of your work. And I would recommend thinking of them as maintenance for your most important tool, which is your mind. Without your mind, you cannot do anything. So continuous work does not equal maximum productivity. In fact, it's the opposite. Our brains have natural ultradian rhythms, cycles of high and low energy. So pushing through those low energy moments without a break is like driving a car with no oil. You're just asking for a breakdown. So here are some tips that I would give you to implement breaks. I told you a couple minutes ago that I actually remind myself like every 10 minutes. For the 10-minute break, I remind myself. So I would say schedule your breaks, put them in your calendar like any other important meeting. Second thing you can do is use break tracking apps. Some apps can help remind you and track your break patterns. If you're anything like me and love like charts and to see what kind of breaks you're taking, that'd be fun. I would say create a break-friendly environment. Have a dedicated relaxation space. Like I said, I just go sit in like in one corner of my room anytime I just want to relax, and there's nothing surrounding that space. And lastly, I would say start small. If full breaks like feel overwhelming, if it's like, I cannot do this, like I'm missing out on that meeting. What if I miss out on that email? What if that person texted me back? I totally get it. Been there, done that. I would highly recommend doing like 2 to 3 minute micro breaks. So when guilt starts creeping in during a break, try these mental strategies. First, remind yourself that rest is productive. Secondly, use positive affirmations like, hey, this is only going to make me feel better when I get back. Hey, it's okay. That 1 or 2 emails can wait. I am not a doctor. I'm not saving lives here. So it's totally fine. Unless you are a doctor, this advice is not for you. Number 3, track your productivity to see the real impact of breaks. Like, honestly, sit down before you go for a break, write down whatever it is you're feeling on a piece of paper. Take the break, come back, and write down whatever it is you feel on a piece of paper. Keep doing this for like 2 weeks. Tell me how it goes. Lastly, practice self-compassion. We are our worst enemies. We're really, really hard on ourselves for absolutely no reason. And I think we need to stop that. So I have a personal challenge for you. This week, take 1 intentional break every day. Just 1. Notice how it makes you feel. Track your energy, your mood, and your productivity. Let me know how it goes. So yeah, I basically just wanted to talk about how we just don't take breaks and we feel like that's a crime. Because just remember, taking breaks is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of intelligence. You need good sleep. You need like good workouts. It's just your energy levels are 100% different. No matter what you say, it's always different. It's about working smarter, not harder. Your brain is the most valuable asset, so treat it with care and respect that it deserves. So, if you love this episode, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a review, like. I don't think you can like it. I think you can comment. Let me know what you think. And now go grab a cup of lemon water. I'm again reminding you that rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.